Hi guys, it's Jamie and welcome to the channel I share with Ashlyn. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're just coming back, I want to say thank you for watching our videos. I've wanted to film this video for about a year now, ever since I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. And I wanted to film this video not to say, woe is me, I was diagnosed with something, but rather to raise awareness and let everyone know kind of what the characteristics of this disease are and how I deal with it, as well as like treatment, how I deal with it in my every day-to-day life, and just to kind of show you that just because you're diagnosed with something is not the end of the world. I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life, but that doesn't mean that it's something that's going to define me. Hashimoto's disease is an autoimmune disease that occurs in your thyroid, and your thyroid's located like right here on your neck. The thyroid generally regulates hormones, and sometimes it has things to do with like body temperature and weight loss and weight gain, so like metabolism, but it deals with a ton of things. I'm sure the list just keeps going on and on. Your thyroid produces a hormone that controls other parts of the body, and my immune cells are attacking my thyroid and lessening the amount of the hormone that my thyroid is actually able to send out. My thyroid isn't able to function as well as it usually should. To get into how I found out I have Hashimoto's, I'm gonna get kind of personal as far as like period stuff, so if you're wary of that, you can click out of this video now, but it's something that led me to being diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, so I'm gonna have to talk about that in order to tell you truthfully all the way through as to what happened. Say this was around November 2015. My periods were getting really heavy, and every single month it would get significantly worse. I waited until college let out for the summer, and I went to the doctor's office to get my blood tested. My test results came back and they said I had low iron and hypothyroid. So they gave me iron pills and they sent me to a specialist for my thyroid. I don't believe they would have blood tested me for a thyroid issue if it weren't for the fact that my mom, dad, and my little brother all have some sort of thyroid issue. My brother was diagnosed when he was 11. My mom was diagnosed after, I think it was after she had my brother, so she was in her 30s, and I'm not sure when my dad was diagnosed. I think he was diagnosed the latest, maybe his 30s or 40s. You should probably go and get your blood tested, especially if you have family members that have thyroid issues. I'm not sure if it's genetic or not, but I'm thinking in my family it just so happens to be more of a genetic thing. Levothyroxine is what I was put on first, and I noticed a slight difference. It seemed like the more I was on that pill, the better I felt as far as my symptoms overall. I'll get into the symptoms later. My symptoms did improve, but I think some of the worst of them happened during the time I felt like I wasn't getting enough medicine. I could tell that my body had used up the medicine and it wasn't doing enough. The thing about having any thyroid issue at all is it's a lifetime thing in general. Every once in a while somebody will have an issue and it will be solved just by putting them on something or changing your diet. But when you have a thyroid issue and it's a long-term thing, you have to constantly keep switching your medicine. And over time, what's going to happen is my cells are going to attack my thyroid even more, and I'm going to need more medicine to replace the hormone that my body cannot put out. Going to the endocrinologist is always, I think it's like every 3 months I have to go and make sure my medicine doesn't need to be adjusted. I get my blood taken every single time I go, just that way they can keep up with my body and what my body needs. I'm going to read the symptoms off this website, and then I will go into telling you which ones I actually have and have had in the past. These are for hypothyroid in general. Having hypothyroid doesn't mean that you have Hashimoto's, but for the most part, those that have hypothyroid are those affected by Hashimoto's. There is a small percentage of people that do not have Hashimoto's, they just have hypothyroid. The symptoms of just hypothyroid and Hashimoto's, they're kind of blended, are fatigue and sluggishness, increased sensitivity to cold, constipation, pale, dry skin, a puffy face, brittle nails, hair loss, enlargement of the tongue, unexplained weight gain, muscle aches, tenderness and stiffness, joint pain and stiffness, muscle weakness, excessive and prolonged menstrual bleeding, depression, and memory lapses. Another one that's not listed on here is anxiety. The amount of hormones you get can affect your anxiety level overall. The symptoms that I've personally had, I had fatigue really bad. I also think that had something to do with the fact that I used to have low iron. The dry skin, I get bad eczema. I know a lot of people with hypothyroid in general get weight gain, but I think my conveniently high metabolism hasn't caused any weight gain. Heavy period, I definitely had that, but I asked my doctor about it and he said it's not possible to have those severe periods due to just thyroid. My thyroid definitely had something to do with it, even if it was just a little bit, because it is a hormone thing. I've had anxiety for as long as I can remember, but I think the thing that has helped the most recently is this pill. Every time my dosage gets upped, I tend to mellow out just a little bit more. Granted, anxiety isn't something that just vanishes. I can tell that my thyroid levels and my hormone levels definitely have something to do with it. Another symptom off of this list that I have dealt with is actually depression. Depression is one of the hardest things to explain to somebody that hasn't had it. Sorry, I'm getting just a tiny bit emotional because it's amazing to think that you're not as in control of your emotions as you think you are. And especially whenever you have any sort of episode of like depression, no matter how bad, you always wonder why you're sad and you don't know how to quite fix it. And I remember when my medicine wasn't fixed, it got really bad, as well as my anxiety got bad. So just the combination of the two things, it's really rough. Even though I've always had anxiety, I never had dealt with depression until, I want to say like November was whenever everything started. And I would have like I'd have days, sometimes weeks, sometimes even like a few minutes of time where I just could not, no matter what situation I was in, I could not be happy. Sorry, I definitely did not mean to get really emotional, but I didn't foresee making a video being stone-faced and talking about this. I could edit all of this out, but my face is already red, so we're just gonna keep going. This is not a woe is me video. This is just like this is what I have. This is what I've dealt with for about a year now, as far as diagnosis goes. I don't know how long I've had Hashimoto's. It could have been years, but the best way to describe it is like this. I'm sure you've heard this analogy before. If you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, they're going to jump out. But if you put a frog in a pot of water and then gradually increase the temperature until it's boiling, the frog will die because it's been in a pot for so long and it's just gotten used to the things. So I think what had happened is I just gradually got used to increased anxiety and all of like the fatigue. I would drag myself out of bed for mostly that first year of college. I dragged myself out of bed, not understanding quite why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Right now, my main goal is to raise awareness about Hashimoto's and continue to keep my health in mind, especially while I'm going through school. School is really stressful, and when you take someone who has like a disease or something that they don't know about and you throw them in school all of a sudden, it tends to really throw you for a loop. And I think that's how I started noticing all of these things about myself, and things weren't quite right. One of the ways that I deal with Hashimoto's, other than medicine, is I try to get as much sleep as I possibly can, because everything seems to get worse without sleep. I also try to eat better. I'm still working on that one though. That was actually one of my New Year's resolutions, and that's the reason why it was. I realized that my body's attacking itself, so anytime I put something in my body that's not particularly good, my overall health goes down, if that makes any sense. So I've cut my sodas to 1 a day at the most, and I've noticed that helps me even more. Soda doesn't really taste as great as it used to, and it's more of a treat than an everyday drink. If you guys want to know more about Hashimoto's and even celebrities that have thyroid issues, I will link the links down below. Even if you're not someone who deals with Hashimoto's, I don't say suffers, because I don't feel as though I suffer with it. It's something I have, and it's something that I'm going to have So why even go woe is me about it? It's just, symptoms can get rough, but I have a way of dealing with it, and I am more than okay now. Anxiety wise, I can make a video in the future as to how to deal with anxiety, because that's not completely Hashimoto's, and I want you to know that my disease doesn't define me. It's just something that I have, and it's something I just wanted to make a video about so you would know what someone with the disease looks like. I look like a normal person other than the eye bags under my eyes because exam time. If you have Hashimoto's, comment down below and I would like to talk to you about it. I want to see how someone else deals with it as well. I will see you guys next video. Bye!